Hi everyone, this is Rihanna from A Frugal Life, and today we're going to be talking about things I personally did in the 90s to save money. These are going to be some vintage, thrifty tips for you today. Number one is I subscribed to a magazine called Refunding Makes Sense. So nowadays, if you want some thrifty tips, you go on to a channel like me to get some tips. By the way, if you like this channel, please subscribe down below and hit the notification bell. So anyways, you would go to a channel like this, or you would go to a blog or a website and you would learn some more thrifty tips and get some coupon codes. You would go to Crazy Coupon Lady on Facebook and find out about the latest coupons. But all we had back then was physical magazines. So we would have to wait in the mail for a subscription to a magazine, and what I subscribed to was Refunding Makes Sense. I will try to put a picture up here above, but it was basically a home published magazine by this really great lady who did it for quite some time, and it was newspaper print magazine. On the front there would always be a picture of somebody who got all these great deals. So it would be like a mom and her kid and 100 packs of diapers that she got for free, or usually people posted their kid or their cat with all these groceries they got for free from couponing. And then inside the magazine, there was a bunch of different features. One of the features was a list of people that you could trade coupons with in the mail, like you had to physically mail them coupons. There was a bunch of features of people that did great deals with the pictures of the deals they got and how they got them. There was a list of the coupons for that month or the next 2 months that you could get in the newspaper, so you could make sure to get the newspaper and match them up with the sales. And there was a list of rebates. So it was just a really low budget magazine that we all looked forward to. We paid like $12 a year for, and we were really excited to get, because that was the only way that you could get your couponing and refunding and thrifty deals news. So that was really exciting when Refunding Makes Sense came out for the month. Number two, nowadays you get your deals on Groupon or online for restaurants and things like that. You have a coupon that you scan on your phone when you get to the restaurant, or you find out about deals for the restaurants on your phone. Typically everything's on the phone, right? Or on the website. But back the day in the 90s, we had to buy a book called the Entertainment Book, and it was all over the country, and there was one for each region and each county. I don't know if you had it where you were, but we had it where we were, and I would always buy it every year. I would save up the money if I didn't have the 25 bucks. It was always 25 to 35 bucks, or sometimes you would get it as a Christmas gift. It was a great Christmas gift, and it was this big thick book, bigger than this book right here. It was really thick and really short, and it had 2 coupons on each page, and it was to local restaurants in your area. So you would get it at the beginning of the year. You would make sure to use them all that you wanted by at the end of the year, by November, because they would expire and you would have to get a new book. And that's how we ate out all the time. The only way we could afford to eat out was with these coupons, and they were always buy one, get one free coupons. So we ate at a whole bunch of the restaurants we probably couldn't afford now, because we had these buy one, get one free coupons. So nowadays you don't get that great of coupons. You get a free appetizer with entree or something like that. But we loved our Entertainment Book. And I actually did look. You can go on entertainment.com. I will put the link hopefully in the description down below. And it looks like now it's an app that you pay for monthly or yearly, and you can get coupons in. But we just felt it was so exciting to have the book that you flipped through and tore out the coupons and gave to at the restaurant. And also you didn't have to have your phone on you, because obviously we didn't have smartphones back then. You'd have a coupon in your coupon purse or your coupon wallet that you would pull out at the right time. So that's how we decided what we're going to eat when we got to go out, was we used our coupon books. Number 3, and a lot of people still do this, but we shared a computer. So nowadays my husband and I each have our own computer, really high-end computers, because we use them for work. And we have one in my office and one in his office, and we each have a laptop, and computers are just so prominent. You have your computer on your phone. You have all the information at your phone, at your fingertips, right, on your phone. But back then we didn't have smartphones, and there's a lot of things we didn't have back then in the 90s, but we did have computers. And I did go on in the morning, because that was my time before my husband got off. Up in the morning, I could go on and check all my couponing deals at Refunding Makes Sense, because I had like a little blog, and I could do anything else I needed to do on the computer, like check my email and stuff like that. And there wasn't a whole lot to do on the computer, so you didn't really need it all day. So we just shared one computer between myself and my husband or anybody else that lived in the house. We just had one computer for the house, right? So that's what probably a lot of people have now if they don't work from home. But we have 2 computers now, so we're living it up from the 90s. Number 4, of course, a lot of people do it now because you can't afford to live by yourself now. But we, in the 90s, when we were in our early 20s and we were just married, we always lived with roommates. There wasn't even an option to not live with roommates, even though many people our age could afford apartments back then. So an apartment was like $600 or $800, and we couldn't afford that back then because we were very low income back then. So we always lived with roommates to save money. And we actually had one roommate we lived with all the time for a long time, for probably like 8 years or something like that. And his name was Bruce. And when we had to move from one place to another, because a lot of times you have to move when you live in a rental because they sell a house or whatever like that, we would always go with him. So he was our standard roommate from like 3 different house apartment areas, and then we would have different roommates come in. So we didn't just have one roommate, we had like 4 roommates at a time. So we would live in a big house that we live in like now, only we would share it with like 8 other people. So it was like 2 people per bedroom. And we would just pay like $400 each, and we would have this big house with a backyard and a kitchen and all that stuff. But we saved money by doing that and not having to get like a little tiny studio apartment. So nowadays, of course, people have to do it because you can't afford to rent anything, especially in California. But back then it wasn't a really big thing, and we did that to save money. Number 5, people still do this, but we went to matinee movies. So back then you couldn't just stream everything that you wanted to on the computer or on your TV, your smart TV, right? So if we wanted to see a movie, we waited for it to come out, and then we called on the phone to find out the movie times because there wasn't a computer, and then we went and waited for Sunday matinee movies to save money. So you could get a movie for like $8 during prime time, or you could wait for a matinee movie and watch a movie for like $4 a piece, or $6 with popcorn. So it was super cheap back then to go to the movies, even if you didn't have a lot of money. You just waited for a matinee and you could save a ton of money. And they actually had in that entertainment book coupons for movies too. So sometimes you could get a matinee, buy one, get one free. So that was a cheap thing to do back then. Now the only way you can do it cheaply is, of course, to watch it online at home. Number 6, and this relates back to Refunding Makes Sense, is we did these rebates in the mail. They still have them, but they're really not in the mail much anymore, and it's not real prominent anymore in the couponing world because it's not as cost effective. So back then a stamp was like 20 cents. So we would look in the newspaper and there would be a form next to the coupons that said, hey, go buy this with a $1 off coupon and then get the rest of it for free. So there was all these try me free things, and almost every week there was one try me free rebate in the newspaper, and we would watch for it in Refunding Makes Sense and know what to look for, and we would cut those out, and then we would go buy a gallon of Tide, and then we would mail in our little card with a proof of purchase. So the little UPC from the back of the gallon of Tide with the little card in the mail for 20 cents, we would mail it off, and back in the mail would come however much Tide was back then, $6.99 as a check, a paper check, and we would put it in the mail. So I actually kept a binder with all my rebate forms and coupon forms and things like that, and I would do every single try me free rebate. So I had a whole closet full of things that I had gotten for free, or the 20 cents of the stamp. Nowadays, you can do some rebates, but typically you fill out the form online, you upload a picture of the UPC or something like that. You don't really have to mail it back because it's like 50 cents for a stamp now. So it's not worth it anymore. But that was a great way to save money back then, and it was so much fun to cut out the little cards and mail them back. Number 7, a way that I personally saved money was to take food home from work for dinner for my whole clan of roommates and my husband. So I worked at a big company back then, a huge semiconductor company in the 90s, and they always had buffets. So there was a place where after one department had a big company, a big meeting or something like that, they would always order in food. Back then, they ordered food more. It was back in the dot-com bubble, and they would just feed us nonstop, these great restaurants and things like that. And then at the end of the day, in the company that I worked for, all the buffet food would be left out and you could take it home. And I was like the last person to leave because I was a receptionist back then. So anything that was left over I could take home. So I would pack it up in these to-go boxes and I would take it home, and I would feed the whole family for like 2 days, sometimes at least one night for dinner for all the roommates and my husband from these great restaurants because we got to take the food home at the end of the day that they ordered. Nowadays we all work from home, so that's not really a thing anymore. And if you do work for a company, they don't usually spend the money on big buffets. And if they do, they don't have tons of leftovers. So good luck to you to find a company like that that still does that, maybe Google or Facebook or something like that. And even better luck to you to get somebody to let you take it home. But back then it was real prominent to get to take things like that home. Number 8, going back to my binder. So I had a school binder, like just a regular 3-ring binder that I had page protectors in. And I had all my coupons in it. So we would cut out tons and tons of coupons. And I would keep them in a binder, all sorted by the types. So we would sort all the dairies together, all the meats together, and everything like that. Nowadays, you can still do couponing. My daughter does it all the time, but it's not as prominent to have the paper coupons. Nowadays, people use Fetch and Ibotta, and even CVS has digital coupons, Safeway has digital coupons. They're all really digital now on the phone. Back then, we had to spend hours clipping them out, matching them to the physical paper sales flyers, writing a list of what we were going to purchase and what we were going to get, and then taking it to the store and getting it. So it takes a lot less time now, but we actually got better deals back then because there was way more coupons. They were way higher value, and when I lived in certain places like Arizona, they were double coupons. So I don't know if you know about double coupons, if you've been around long enough, but you could get a 50-cent coupon on a $1 item. You could double it for $1. When you got to the store, they would double it for you, and you could get things for free or very inexpensively. A lot of things you would double coupons. Sometimes they had double coupon days where you could get up to $1 doubled and things like that. So we got a lot of free groceries by doing double coupons and clipping paper coupons. Keep watching because number 10, I'm going to tell you how I filled an entire linen closet with stovetop stuffing. I know, right? Crazy. So number 9, and this helped us with our coupon clipping, was price books. So you can still look up coupon price books or grocery price books now online and get a rundown of what they were. Nowadays, people just keep it on apps in their phone or on to-do lists or a Notion or something like that. But we would keep price books of prices for things. So we would have a book like this, either a printable one that we put in a binder, or we would make our own in like a paper thing like this. A lot of the times we would do old style like bullet journaling. They didn't call it bullet journaling back then, but we would make our own forms and things like that for price books. And it would tell you each page would be one item. So this would be like eggs. And then I would put the name of the store, and I would put the type of item I bought, like a dozen eggs, and I would put the date, and I would put the price. So after like 6 months of doing your price book, you would know at what price it was the best price. So then, like, the more data you had, the better. But it was like our little cheat sheet paper version of data analytics, and we would be able to see that whenever eggs were 99 cents a dozen, that was a good price. So stock up by 6 dozen of them or something like that. Or whenever stovetop was a good deal, then stock up, right? So that was our price book, and we would carry it with us to the grocery store with our huge binder of coupons so that we would know. Most of the time after you started doing the price book, you would just know in your head. But we would also take our price book anyways. And everybody who ever recommended anything frugal said, did you make a price book? That's the first thing you should do. So look up price books if you want to see. And number 10, my crazy story, is how I filled an entire linen closet with stovetop stuffing. Probably not to the happiness of my roommates because I took up the entire linen closet. But this has to do with all my previous tips and tricks, and I went a little crazy one time. So I liked stovetop stuffing. I still like stovetop stuffing, although probably I was sick of it by the end of that year. But I had my price book, and I knew what a good price was for stovetop stuffing. I had my refunding Make Sense, so I knew when coupons were coming out, and I would look all the time religiously to find a really good deal that I could double coupon for. And just one day I happened to be in Walmart, and I look on the bottom shelf of Walmart, and all this stovetop stuffing, it was right after Thanksgiving, was 50 cents a box, right? So the Walmart at that time also did double couponing. So any day of the week they would double a coupon. And I just happened to remember that in Refunding Makes Sense, it said a 50-cent coupon was coming out for stovetop in that week's penny saver or a newspaper or whatever. So I went and I bought a ton of newspapers on that Sunday because newspapers back then were like 99 cents. So I got a ton of extra coupons anyways. It was okay to buy a ton of newspapers because I used a crap ton of coupons anyways, right? But I also had the ability to go online to one of these really old-fashioned websites they had back then and purchase coupons. So you can't do that anymore. It's totally illegal, and this site was probably illegal back then and I didn't know it. But you could purchase coupons from this lady who would clip them out for you in big bulk reams or whatever. I don't even know how she got so many of them. There were a lot of sites like that back then you could purchase coupons. But anyways, I went on there and I knew that this deal at Walmart was going to go fast, but you could get the coupons fast back then. So I chose and I purchased like 100 of these coupons for a penny each. And then they came in the mail and I went to Walmart and I cleared them out. So I took every single box of stovetop off the bottom. I was only 20, give me a break. I don't know where I thought I was going to eat all this stovetop stuffing, but with my 50-cent coupon doubled, I was able to purchase all of them. So some of them were 50 cents, some of them were 99 cents, and it did not matter because my coupon doubled. So I purchased over 100 boxes of stovetop stuffing in a variety of flavors, and then I got them home and I had no idea what to do with them. So I emptied out this linen closet and I filled it from the top to the bottom with stovetop stuffing. And one day my roommate comes by and he opens the linen closet to get like a towel or something, and he's like, what the heck? So I never lived it down with that set of roommates. They were always talking about how I was the coupon queen. Anybody that ever came over and was hungry could go and make a box of stovetop stuffing, which people were broke back then in my life because they were all teenagers or 20-year-olds. And the stovetop stuffing lasted for at least a year. So that was probably the biggest haul I ever got, but I was so excited because I bought so much of it, right? So I know now I would never buy 100 boxes of stovetop stuffing unless I was going to donate them or something like that. But that was the exciting things we did in the 90s, was we bought excess amounts of food at deep discounts or no money at all because we had this great couponing and refunding and rebating and price books and all that stuff. So you don't have all that anymore, but some of them you can still do digitally. So those are my stories of vintage thrifty tips from the 90s. So I don't know if you know what vintage is, but anything over 20 years is vintage. So those are some vintage frugal tips. If you have any, I would love to hear what you did in the 90s to save money, or if you want to go back even further, tell me what you did in the 80s. I would love to hear some before computer, before the digital age, frugal tips of things that we don't really do anymore because now we have computers and phones and things like that. So if you like this video, again, please like and subscribe. If nobody has told you how very special you are so special to me. You are all my friends and family on the internet. I enjoy doing these videos for you so much, and I cannot wait to talk to you in the next one.